Well, thank you very much indeed for joining this afternoon's session of the WPP BAV Alibaba 11/11 Global Shopping Festival 2021 broadcast. My name is David Roth from WPP, and I'm going to be leading this session together with Bryce Whitwam, who is the adjunct professor from the New York University in Shanghai. Bryce, you're joining us live from Shanghai at the moment. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks for being here, David. Looking forward to it.
Well, it's been impossible, really, for most people to get to China over the course of what's really been an incredible 2 years. And normally we would be running a WPP tour to China so that people can see exactly what is going on in the world of e-commerce, of retail, the sort of combination of online and offline, and how all this is changing the way in which consumers shop, the way in which consumers think, and the way in which brands and retailers go about the business of commerce in its broadest sense. But unfortunately, we haven't been able to run that tour this year or last year. And there's a lot of catching up that we all need to do, because the pace of change in China certainly hasn't slowed down over the course of the last couple of years, as I'm sure those people who've been watching our broadcasts for the last week have seen how the innovations that have been played out over the course of this year's 11/11 has shown that innovation, rather than slowing down, it's, I think, accelerated over the course of the last couple of years, especially in that sweet spot of the interaction between things physical and virtual, and commerce umbrella around all of that. So if we can't go to China, we're going to bring China to you. So Bryce in China, myself in our studio, broadcasting studio live here in London. And the combination of the two of us are going to bring China retail and innovations hopefully alive for you in the best way we can, without obviously the best being in China physically. But I hope that during the course of next year, that's going to be possible, and we can all meet in China together and see some of these, and I'm sure a lot of new examples that will appear over the course of the next 6 months in China. We can see those all physically. So, Bryce, you ready for the ride?
Yeah, I'm ready for it. Absolutely.
Excellent.
Looking forward to it.
So hold on to your hats, everybody. I suppose let's start off a little bit of level setting. You know, if you think that China retail is a little bit like this, and then sort of maybe a little bit like that, and I suppose maybe a little bit like this, well, I think you need to have your sights reset, and that's what I hope the next 45 minutes, hour or so will do for you. Now, whilst traveling in China, you will still see some mama and papa stores that look a little bit like this. This is far from the norm, and when Bryce first moved to China, when I first went to China as well, some 20 or so years ago, this really was what retail was all about in many different manifestations across many different retail sectors. You remember those days very well, Bryce?
Absolutely, I definitely do. They would take the money and put it into a small ball and kind of like throw it at you when you're changed. It was quite an experience.
Well, let's get prepared for the ride, and we are going to segment what we're going to show you into different sorts of strategic arenas. And the first strategic arena we're going to look at is the whole concept of sort of interactive social. And Bryce is going to take us through a really interesting store format, the L'Oreal omni-channel House of Worth. Take it away, Bryce.
Yeah. So I think it's important to realize that stores in China are having to evolve. If you think about that, consumers now spend about 48% in categories like L'Oreal's. Over 70 to 80% of the business is online. So it begs the question, what is the future of the store? what is the store's purpose if people are not buying in the physical store? And I think that this store manifests that very well in the context of creating experiences that consumers can interact with their phones on platforms, create experiences, educate them, and more importantly, get them to sign up for future promotion offers and deals. And this store, in fact, is downtown, was developed with WPP's AKQA, who developed a lot of the interactive devices and materials in the store. Next slide. So the House of Worth has a number of interactive experiences. Yes, they have some fun stuff like the immersive bike ride that takes you through the street, Champs-Élysées, right down the street. Of course, in a safe way, you're not interrupted by automobiles or anything. Another thing that you see quite often now in China, especially amongst cosmetic skincare brands, I've even seen coffee brands, is that they will do live streams in the store. They have an in-store live stream set that's really literally broadcasting live as you're in the shop. Now, they also have some interactive things which provide you a skin analysis, an interactive advice board, and then, of course, once you get all your data, they have assisted beauty consultants that to take you through the whole experience. And I believe we have a case video to show. Oh, this is an example of the interactive board, and I think the next slide is the video. This is the whole.
We're almost there. I think the one after.
Almost there. So I'll just go through this. This is some of the photos that I took. So you can see that as you enter the store, you're invited to scan a QR code, which takes you into the WeChat version of the store. So most retail stores of this type will have an online store and an offline store. And as you walk through the store, you go through different pieces and parts of it. As I said, there's a beauty advisor skin analysis device in which they use AI techniques to scan your face and to tell you what you need for your skin. And this is my card, and fortunately, it nailed my age at 39 years old perfectly. So I can tell you, hand on heart, that this is an amazing device.
It doesn't lie.
It doesn't lie, man. It's totally spot on.
Can't possibly lie.
I think it's a little high. Could be around 35, but we'll take 39. And then literally, it provides you a device that allows you to interact with interactive features. And I believe the next slide is the video. Let's watch it.
Bryce, give us a little feel of what was going on during that video. What was the key, and how did that work?
The key is as soon as the AI device scans your face, it produces a key which is tailor-made to the needs of your skin. And that key, you walk over to another booth and you insert the key into first of all, into the interactive device that provides you more information about your skin type and the products you need. And then after you're done with the information part, you actually go to another screen, insert the key into like a vending machine, and out comes a sample. This is my sample right here. So out comes this sample, which has all the products that are specially needed for my face. So that's how it works. So it
cool.
Takes
and the interactive table or surface where you put the product on, and I presume it recognizes exactly what that product is and gives you contextual information around it.
Exactly. It's a very cool way to demonstrate to you the product through demonstrative videos and other type of information. And it's important to note that the beauty assistant in the store was actually guiding me through this. And it kind of blew my mind that she was fluent in English and she was explaining to me all this stuff. I just let her go for it. So, and then she, yeah.
How would you describe the experience, in a sense? We've just come out of a session where we were talking about the whole concept of experience with mindshare and the importance that experience is going to be now, and the linking of experiences on the physical and the virtual world sort of together. As you sort of walked out of that environment, how would you sum up how you felt about that experience you just had?
I felt that I really needed these products. I really needed, I needed them. There was a sense that I should actually go after to buy them and try them. And it was an amazing experience. I think that what I felt was this sense of, I was informed, but also done in a very interesting and entertaining way. They really turned the store into a media channel. That's what it was. It was a media channel. It certainly wasn't a retail store as we might think about it, but an actual media experience where you go through different steps and learn more about something that's tailored to you.
Well, that sort of leads us really nicely into, I suppose, the whole concept of our next strategic pillar, which is the notion of social commerce, because we sort of view social commerce as something that takes place maybe on our smartphone, in the privacy of our homes, maybe on the way to work, on the way home. We don't really view social commerce in the context of a retail environment. So explain to us how this concept works.
This, to me, is completely disruptive. If you thought the last L'Oreal store was interesting, but maybe you've seen some of those type of interactive features in other stores in the West, this store blows you away. And that's because TX Huaihai Mall, it's a youth shopping mall. They a youth energy center in the downtown Shanghai area. Now, what's interesting about this store is not the fact of anything that you might normally expect from a retailer, except that the brands inside the store you have never heard of before. And that's because the whole store recruits retailers from Taobao, from online commerce stores. These are super fan stores. And if you want to get your place in the TX Huaihai Mall, you have to be able to or be approved, and you have to follow some criteria. One of those criteria is that you have to have so many social fans. You have to be so large. And once you've done that, that you can actually apply to be a traditional store. So these stores that you're seeing here are not traditional retail stores ever. This is the first offline store that they've ever had. Now, the beauty of this store is, as you can imagine, if you're bringing in stores, superfan online stores, and with these brands, you're obviously bringing their social media audience with them as recruitment. Now, here's the thing. These stores are not paying rent. They don't pay rent. They take about 15% commission the sales, and they give it to the retailer for operations purposes. So you have to obviously make a certain criteria. And once you're in the retailer, you have to make a certain revenue target to be able to stay there. But if you can stay there, your rent is free. The other thing that really blew my mind about this retailer is that unlike other shops that are run by real estate companies, everybody's pretty much doing their own thing. It's kind of live and die by the sword if you can make or break the business. This retail actually shares all the data. Every store in here has a central database, so everyone and shares the data, so everyone knows exactly who's coming in, what they're buying, what stores they visited, what's the traffic flow. All these things are universally shared amongst all the retailers in the shop.
So explain a little bit about what we see on these images, Bryce. Who are these brands? What are they offering?
They're very youth brands here. This on one on the left is an online store that started in Guangdong province called Bad Market. They do a lot of like printed T-shirts and youth Gen Z stuff that they've produced themselves. On the right is an interesting tie-in with the Bilibili, the online video platform, which they've actually created branded goods around their video platform. They sell them at this store, which I thought was really, really fun. Again, Gao, go ahead.
Yeah, Karen.
Yeah, just some more examples. Some of the stores that we saw. Obviously, the stuff is very, very much targeted at a Gen Z, about a 23-year-old target audience. These are the retailers, the merchandise retailers. On the upper floors, there's restaurants and cafes. And another interesting part of the store is they have a huge open area outside the location where they have lots of events. And they told me that they actually, if you were let's say a skateboard enthusiast club, or you're into some type of unique food item or whatever that happens to be, you can actually use the area outside the store for nothing. And obviously the reason they're doing that is that they want to use their store as a means to attract young people to come and join and make it kind of a party, festive atmosphere. So the combination of this online stores and then the whole party experience in the retail environment, it really adds a lot.
And from your experience of being there on a number of occasions, does it fulfill that brief?
Yeah, I think it's amazing. I just think it's so much fun. It really does a fantastic job of delivering that. And as I said, a refreshing approach to how a retailer could be, not driving in, brands from the offline or the big brands that you might see, but actually driving in commerce brands into an offline experience. Very clever.
So that's a nice segue to our next pillar of social commerce. What have Burberry been up to in Shenzhen?
Yeah, this is a concept store that they launched in Shenzhen in the south of the country. Obviously this is where Tencent is the headquarters. This is a tie-in with Tencent. So it's a very interactive Tencent mini program WeChat experience where you go into the store. And yes, it has a full bar cafe as well that you can shop. In addition, it has, next slide, it has a lot of interactive elements. Again, similar to the L'Oreal store, where you're encouraged to scan a QR code or mini program code that takes you into an ecosystem and allows you to interact with each and every product. And everything has QR codes in it, so it enables you to sample, try on products in a virtual manner.
And this sort of, I suppose, trial co-relationship between the brand and the technology partner, in this case, as you say, Tencent, is this something that's becoming more and more common across China?
Absolutely. I think that there's that Tencent and the platforms obviously see opportunities to be able to create these type of interactive experiences. They definitely, like Alibaba, they want to be at the forefront of being able to create these kind of new retail environments where people can bring in their technology and scan and interact with the products and experiences.
I mean, the retail engineering of this store is quite astronomical, isn't it?
It's incredible. The amount of detail for not only just in terms of the execution and what has to be done for each and every specific product, but also the amount of potential that's available, because as China moves more into 5G and will be more ubiquitous in the future, that there'll be even greater amounts of interactivity that's available to retailers.
Well, I think that's a really interesting point as we move to our next pillar of interactive retail, which is the ability that 5G gives to have a much more sort of fluid, dynamic video metaverse sort of experience on the phone that is in itself pretty seamless.
That's right. And I think that nobody does this better in China than Nike, in the sense of within their interactive concept store. It has always been my dream that I could go into a shoe store and I could see a product, a pair of shoes that I want to buy. And without hassling the manager, I could scan a code and find out whether or not they have my size. And I wear a 44 and it's hard to find in China. What blows my mind about Nike, not only that in this store, but what I love about this is how Nike uses their native apps within the store to actually encourage you to join and be a part of the family. This is a true like CRM mecca land here, where you can go to each and every location and open up the Nike app, and it creates different types of experiences and product information for you. So this is an example of just my app when I scanned my Nike Pass, and not only does it give you specific product relevance because you're actually scanning through the products, but also gives you opportunities to actually try the product, information from experts, what's about prorating and different types of shoe types, what's best for you. All these things are available on your phone as you're shopping, which I think is amazing.
Now, to what extent is that sort of interaction in the store a constant sort of looking at something, experience it physically, and then using your mobile device to get, as you say, even the attention of a sales assistant to bring you a particular size of shoe or any other type of interaction?
I think what it enables you to do is to self-discover on your own. That enables you to find out information that you want to find while you're in front of a pair of shoes. It could be size, it could be color, or it could be just simply to see if it's in stock or not. Those things are completely available to you, and it gives you the flexibility of having that experience without bothering the customer, without bothering the salesperson who's at that moment probably helping another customer, and you can't get them when you want them. So I think it's a great way of interacting with consumers at a store level.
Now, one of the wonderful things, at least in my perspective, about retail is that great retail stores are part of the local community. If you're not part of the local community as a retailer, you're part of nothing. So let's take a look at what's going on as, I suppose, another iteration of that, not just part of the community, but retail as a community center in its own right.
Yeah, this is something that Nike set up. What they did is they wanted not to they didn't want them to be like the sole Nike runner club, because they found out Shanghai actually has lots of runners clubs. So what they wanted to do was to create a center for all the runners clubs to be able to use their facility and their place as a starting point for runs and a place where they could call their own. And as again, they didn't want to they wanted to be a part of the community and not overshadow it. They didn't feel that they wanted to do that. And this is the first store, I believe, in China where they've launched this runners club type of store. Yes, it has products for sale in it, but you never get the feeling that it's really about selling you stuff, but it's more about like a community center. It would be the equivalent in America of like a YMCA. Where that place where you feel that you would go to exercise, meet up with friends, and for classes, let's say, or in this case, maybe start off with a run. And this is how they connect their Nike's Runners Club, which they have regular runs that you follow the mentors or the runners from Nike around to the streets of Shanghai, and it's just a fantastic way to be able to bring this into connect this experience with the neighborhood.
And can you buy things if you want to buy them there or not?
Yeah, there are shoes. There's running shoes there. They definitely have merchandise. As I said, I took a picture of this. They have locker rooms and showers and places even in the store. And yeah, there's racks of shoes and socks and other things, merchandise that you can buy.
And of course, it is a running club, and they are sort of daily running activities that you could do collectively with like-minded people.
That's right. As I said, they try to connect all the existing runners clubs, because every runners club or any kind of club or any community of more than 2 or 3 people in China is on a WeChat group, and so what they do is they use the runners club as a catalyst to be able to create those activities, reaching out to the different clubs. What's the challenge with running clubs? I've been in lots of them, is that they're very disorganized because people are busy and have stuff to do. So Nike does provide that kind of opportunity for them to give them a place that they can meet and call their own.
Now, you can't wander around Shanghai, Beijing, Shenzhen, Dalian, Qingdao, and I could name many, many more cities in China without being unbelievably impressed by some of the architecture, the building, and the grandeur of some of the modernization. The same, in a sense, is true of retail space. There are some amazing retail spaces that feel more like museums or exhibition areas than necessarily retail stores. So let's take a look at a couple of really impressive spaces.
So this one is completely over the top. This is not just for China, but I think Gentle Monster, the Korean eyewear brand, has their largest store one of their largest stores in the world is in China. And if I had to count the number of SKUs in this store, I could probably fit them I could probably put all of them in like one garbage bag. There's not that many. But the store, which is three plus floors of interactive art and merchandise and this most over-the-top experiences that you possibly ever have. And everything that you walk by has some kind of visual art or experience that's attracting you to it. And you can see that the glasses styles are very, very eclectic and very modern.
And these aren't sort of astronomically high prices, are they? I mean, they're not bottom end of the marketplace, but this is a mid-market brand.
I would say it's more premium market. It's still not cheap. They're still pretty expensive. This I did not buy this pair. I tried them on.
I was going to say, I'm not certain about your choice of eyewear there, Bryce.
Yeah, my wife vetoed it as well, David. Yeah,
clearly she has good taste.
Yeah, no, she tried. I wanted to get that. I thought it looked pretty damn cool, but I failed. But as I said, every element of the store is got some kind of element parts of it. But the next thing I'm going to show you is completely over the top, and that is if you can click on all the videos. They just keep going here. They keep moving.
We haven't moved to a farm, have we?
We have not moved to the farm. This is in the middle of the busiest, this is in the center of a city of 25 million people. Robotic horses in the coffee shop on the first floor. And I was just, coming from an agricultural place, I just was blown away by this. And you can see people having a casual coffee and snack as these horses are behind them, slowly moving.
I've got to say, they do look really realistic.
It's unbelievable. I had to take a double take and thought, are they really horses? And of course, having experienced horses before, I walked in and I knew they weren't horses right away. They weren't real because I couldn't smell them. So I knew that wasn't real. But as you can imagine, as I tell my students at NYU, you create these earned media experiences in stores, and there were lots. You can see a lady there, lots and lots of people, including myself, taking pictures of these horses. So it's definitely a photographic magnet in the store. In addition to that, they have this giant face sculpture thing that turns around and looks at you on the third floor. In addition, I think the other one's also a video. There is a series of these very high-end sculptured snacks. And I think my favorite one for
so this is food. What we're looking at is
that is food. These are food. These are food dessert items, and of chocolates and different types of desserts. And the first one, which you might have seen, is those little pieces there. They're called micro croissants. For $3, you can literally eat a croissant the size of your fingernail.
I prefer a large croissant, but each to their own.
Yeah, no. The only General Monster has these micro croissants. So as I said, just absolutely amazing retail theater, and generally the place was 2 PM on a weekday, and it was packed with people. And like I said, this is an experience where people go like going to an art gallery, and all these pieces in here, they change frequently.
Let's move on to an area, another strategic pillar, an area of esports, really, because we have for a number of years been looking at the way in which esports has been developing. And it's interesting that the concept of gaming being a soulless experience that you do in the privacy of your own bedroom or at friends' houses is now very much a social experience. And here's a really good example of a social gaming experience. There were thousands of people in this. There was a running commentary being made by the commentators. The players were very much treated as rock stars. And ever so often, I have to say, I never quite understood it, but ever so often the crowd would get to their feet and roar and cheer in amazement of some of the moves that those gamers had made. So if you think that interactive gaming is something that only is going to happen inside the privacy of people's homes or playing with their friends, these types of environments, they're going to get much more sophisticated. Social interactions, gaming environments, watching esports is something that's going to be a piece of retail in its own right, and retail theatre, I believe, also in other people's environments as well. Bryce, the FMCG market is moving fast. Things are changing. Let's take a look at one of the concept stores in the FMCG world.
So this is Friesland Campina, the infant milk, the milk powder brand company, and this is a store that they've created, a concept store in Shanghai, again with interactive elements, talking about the origins of the product from the fields to the glasses, and they also provide different snacks and a coffee shop, a milk place, where you can experience different types of things within the store. This is, by the way, is not at an office building. This is really within a very premium retail district within Shanghai. So I was quite impressed that they took the effort to build something like this. And obviously the rent is not cheap. So the ability to use this as an educational device to get people to better understand the product.
Let's take a quick look, I suppose, at one of the technologies that I think is far more advanced in China, and that is the power of one's face in terms of facial recognition. Just one example of how now getting into buildings, you don't need a pass, you don't need any sort of paper documentation. You just walk through, and face technology is being used, and we're seeing that more and more, especially in the banking sector in China, where a lot of banking transactions are being authorized by face as well. We're also seeing how facial recognition is being put into other types of products. This is, I suppose, an Alexa Siri type device, where you can have an interactive experience. It will suggest various different makeup to you, give you tips and hints, etc. All very interactive, and you can also purchase products through the device. It's also voice inactive and voice enabled as well. One of the Alibaba ecosystem plays. So we can start to see how face and voice interactions, bypassing, I suppose, the necessity for the mobile in these examples, but in other examples, the mobile also being an element within the way in which that particular ecosystem will work as well. And I think that's going to have huge implications for both brands, interaction with brands, and the way in which we purchase. I think one of the really interesting things to me, Bryce, is it wasn't that many years ago, was it, where if you wanted to know what was going on in the world of retail, we all hot-footed it to New York, and then we might have gone from New York to Atlanta, and then from Atlanta we might have gone to Dallas, and then from Dallas to San Francisco. We would have had a really good feel about what the future is going to bring for us in different parts of the world, and we'd go back to our offices, our clients, our agencies, and we would start to execute some of the ideas we've seen. And China definitely wouldn't have been on our list of places to go to. And the flagship stores that were created by some of those brands were created mainly in the States, first of all. Some of them might well have been in some of the big countries in Europe, maybe the US, the UK, and Germany. And then they would have been transported to other markets around the world, China being, probably low down on the list of countries to create those flagships. The table has very much turned now, Bryce, hasn't it? It's the other way around. A lot of these big flagship environments, concept environments, are being created in China for China, and then are being exported from China to other countries in the world. And I think we're seeing that more and more. This is the largest Starbucks store in the world. It's not in Seattle. It's not in New York. This particular store is on Nanjing Shilu in downtown Shanghai. You go into the store and they offer you a flight of coffees in the same way as if you went to a bar and a restaurant, they might well offer you a flight of drinks to go through. I mean, just looking at that picture, I either need to go to the gym or never wear that shirt again. Probably never wear that shirt again. And just look at the retail engineering of this flagship store. It is quite sensational. I've spent many, many years visiting retail stores right across the world, thank goodness. And in fact, that was one of the things I missed desperately over the COVID period, not seeing some of the retail innovations firsthand and being able to touch and feel and understand the fixturizations of all of this. But you go around this store, the quality of the fixturizations, the way in which it's designed is superb. And again, it's a store that hits all of your senses. This is a coffee roasting area in the store. It's real, it works, it's not a toy. It's there to service the beans to be roasted for that Starbucks store and other Starbucks stores in the vicinity. It gives right across the store that sort of waft of wonderful coffee aroma. Whether you're a coffee drinker or not, you can't help but be consumed by that coffee aroma. As you can see, this is a working environment, but it's all VR. I suppose now we would call metaverse enabled. You can put your phone, download the app, put your phone to any area in the store. In this particular one, it will tell you exactly what beans are being roasted at that very moment in time and what will make the best cup of coffee. It serves not only coffee, but alcohol as well. Starbucks at last have realized that they actually don't do food very well, so they outsource this to the best patisserie makers or artisans in France, and they run this store for them in Shanghai. Now, Bryce showed us just before the Nike Shanghai Innovation Store, and to our point of things are now starting in China first and then moving. It started in China, and now these stores are rolling out in other parts of the world. This happens to be on Fifth Avenue in New York, but there are a number of these very innovative stores, which also this particular one focuses very much on unique products, the way in which you can create your own type of Nike product and individualize it there and then in the store, so that the products are much more individual than mass sort of marketed.
David, I think one of the reasons that a lot of these flagship stores are launching in China is, I think, as we've said in the outset of this conversation, is a lot of the innovation resulting from new retail, online, offline connective experiences is really being innovated here. These stores have purposes not just from a global implication from that, but also within China. So what they do is that the flagship stores, what you see in the flagship stores, pieces and parts of them will be rolled out into smaller locations throughout the country. Even some of the interactive elements that you saw with the L'Oreal store could very well end up in a counter display at a department store somewhere.
I think that's a really important point, actually, because I suppose to me the great value of the concept store is that you can take the overall concept and take elements of it and descale it, take cost out, and then roll that across different parts of your distribution chain, be it sort of your own smaller size stores or partner stores or franchise areas within other people's stores, and make it work in those types of environments as well. And clearly, the variety of those types of applications across a country as large as China and as diverse in terms of I suppose the status of some of the cities and towns in China gives you great opportunity to be able to do that. If you design it in that way to be concept and then to scale, I think that's really important. Well, I know we sort of headline this particular section in terms of new retail in China. I suppose new retail per se is a terminology that was very much coined by Alibaba, and they've been playing out the concept of new retail right across China for the last 7 or 8 years now. To me, the fundamental principle of what new retail is all about is the concept of digitizing the end-to-end supply chain, not just the bit that the consumer sees, but every single element of the supply chain, from its production right the way through to its sort of use after life, in a sense, in the way in which it's sort of ethically disposed of to reduce the impact it has on the overall environment. And I want to give you just one sort of glimpse of this new retail end-to-end, and to show you the significance and importance of it. And to do that, we're going to go to Happy Hippo, Homer, which is a concept of the Alibaba group. And both the very beginning of our broadcast on Monday, when David Lloyd, the country manager for Alibaba for the UK and many of the Nordics countries, talked to us about how Alibaba not only was clearly involved in all aspects digitally, but also a great proponent in the physical stores, and they're rolling out more and more physical stores as we speak. And this is one of their stores. This is a supermarket, a hypermarket, which they run. Its focus is on fresh, and in China you can't demonstrate fresh better than fresh fish. Very difficult thing to do from a supply chain perspective. And as you can see, this particular store has a huge amount of fresh products to help resonate with the consumer, the concept of freshness. It's interesting, you know, in this store, if you turned up with fistfuls of 100 yuan notes, you wouldn't be able to spend any of those notes. This store is only takes digital currency. I know, Bryce, you were saying that you've been wandering around Shanghai. I don't mean wandering around aimlessly, but going around Shanghai for the past probably 2 to 3 years without the need to carry any money or a wallet at all with you. Is that correct?
That's correct. I have a wallet for the purpose when I leave China. That's when I bring it out as a kind of a relic. Yeah.
And
like
yeah. So and here the digital payments, you go there and you pay it with Alipay. Delivery is really important in China, and because of the digitization of the supply chain, that delivery is within the concept of this store is in probably between 15 and 20 minutes of you placing an order. The products will be delivered to you. Now, to highlight and illustrate the point of what does digitizing the supply chain give you, and how, when you do that, it opens up a whole series of consumer propositions that were never available to you beforehand. I want to just show you a very quick example. So this is a range of products. Now, the reason it's got 7 on there is that these products, and these are all fresh products, again, trying to highlight the freshness of the overall store concept, are only available on day 7 of the week. They're not there on day 6. They're not there on in a sense, the beginning of the week. Now, how can you create a supply chain that can promise that to the consumer, which is it's here on one day, it's not the next, it's another, it's other types of products then, because you can better control, better supply, manage your supply chain, and be much more accurate with demand forecasts. Now, every single product, fresh product in this store, has got a QR code. It's interesting that the QR code, having been very dormant in markets outside of China, or maybe to be more precise, outside of Asia, during the pandemic, the QR code has made a dramatic reappearance on everything from sort of menus to billboards. But all you need to do here is to take the QR code of the product. I had this picture taken of me because when Jack Ma opened this particular store, there was a picture of Jack with exactly the same pose, with probably not exactly the same crustacea, but I thought it was good enough for Jack. It was definitely good enough for me. But the point was this: you just scan the barcode, the QR code, obviously not on the product, but by the side of this particular one, and here it is. This is the story of this particular seafood. You knew exactly when it was picked out of the sea river, exactly which river it came from, exactly when it was farmed, its journey from the river through to the store, giving you recipe examples of what you could do with the product as well. Now, you can't do any of all of this if you haven't digitized the entire supply chain, and that then gives you an amazing consumer experience. Now, in this particular store, you can take those products away with you and cook them at home, or you can take them to the restaurant area and get the restaurant in this store to cook it for you in whatever way you like. But this is a restaurant that has no waiters or waitresses whatsoever. Again, the waiters and the waitresses have in a sense, been digitized. So let's take a little look at how the food goes from the kitchen to your table. Yes, here are the electronic waiters. The food's put in by the chefs. They know where you're sitting, or the robot knows where you're sitting, and it takes your food to where you are. The Perspex cover on the top will open up when it gets near to you. You take the food out and you start to eat it and hopefully enjoy it as these Chinese consumers were doing here. No presentation, I suppose, on China retail, the development is complete without something on live stream. We've talked a lot about it during the course of our broadcasts, and I'm sure that tomorrow when we have our keynote interview with Michael Evans, the president of Alibaba globally, he'll also touch on what's happened on live streaming over the course of this 2021 11/11 Global Shopping Festival. But just to make the point in a sense, Austin Lee and Wei Ya, the premier live streamers in China, over the first day and a half, I think it was, Bryce, I don't think it was longer than a day and a half, opening up this year's 11/11, sold literally 20 billion RMBs worth of merchandise. And to give it its rough translation into US dollars, that is about 3.1 billion, yes, billion is not a typo, US dollars. And by my rough estimates, both of them, given the economics of the way in which live streaming has worked, and again, those people who saw both the presentation and discussion we had with Mark and Zoe on live streaming, if you haven't seen it, please watch it on demand. It's a fantastic session. And also the session that we had on the business model of live streaming by Professor Ivy Dang from the Hong Kong University. Again, if you didn't see that, watch that on demand. Taking the estimates from the analysis that we've now got from both of those to understand how live streaming works, I reckon between the two of them, they earned about 900 million US dollars over a 48-hour period. Not bad for 48 hours days of work. To give that sort of context, I believe Mark Zuckerberg has to work an entire year for his salary of about 26 million US dollars. So not bad at all. Now, I think, Bryce, people might be forgiven at this stage for thinking, well, all this innovation, all this technology is fine. You know, if you're a big brand, if you've got a lot of resources, if you've got a lot of capital behind you. But of course, in China, Bryce, that's not the case, is it?
Nope, no, definitely. I think because the fact that you have a market which is 90%, 95% covered in 4G, many markets now are moving to 5G. Enabled consumers to be able to utilize their devices to be able to interact with experiences within even mom and pop shops that can be used for a number of things that we've mentioned already in some of the larger flagship stores.
So let's take a look then at what's happening, I suppose, at retail that started retail, which is the good old-fashioned, and God bless them, mum and pup stores, of which there are many, not just in China, but hundreds of thousands, if not millions, right across the world still. And I think to give this a little bit of context, we're looking at through the lens of what Alibaba is doing to help digitize the mum and pup stores. Yes, the concept of end-to-end digitization of the supply chain from what Alibaba is trying to create, and again, we see those parts of the ecosystem coming to play collectively during 11/11, which is why it's such a big, all-encompassing, and ultimately successful shopping festival. We'll find out tomorrow, hopefully, how successful it has been across a number of dimensions. But the whole concept of Ling Xiaotong, which is about getting the mama and papa store involved and integrated into the digital supply chain. So here's an example of a mama and papa store in China. They now have the ability through the Alibaba ecosystem to digitize it all, to be enabled through mobile phones, mobile ordering. Here's a really good example of a father and son store in China. They run a grocery store, and they've gone from a very manual process, probably hasn't changed for 30, 40, 50 years or so, to a new type of environment. We're also finding that the data that's being thrown off from all these thousands, hundreds of thousands of mama and papa stores is also enabling the brands to understand more about their customers. So again, this whole digitization of end-to-end is throwing off data that's not only useful for the store to manage better the items that they sell in the store, because they're able to work out what items are selling in the area where the store is through e-commerce. Maybe some of those they don't have access to. They get access to it through the Alibaba supply chain. But also the brands are realizing that it's a great place to understand what consumers are buying and the quantities they're buying it for. And this was a great example of Oreos looking and working out that actually they really should be selling some of their products as single packs as opposed to more expensive packs as well. And I suppose here is the transition from the old mum and pop store to the digitally enabled one through Alibaba commerce. Now, if you think that digitizing the mama and papa stores was sort of the end of the chain of end-to-end digitization, it's not quite that, is it, Bryce? Even rural China, even farmers, I say even farmers, I don't mean that in a pejorative way at all, but rural farmers are getting access to 5G and are revolutionizing things. And that's revolutionizing things, isn't it, Bryce?
Yeah, absolutely. We're seeing a lot, especially in the context of supply chain and distribution, being able to bring products to consumers directly straight from the farms, to be able to buy fresh products or baked products directly from the market themselves, not even directly from the farmers. You're not even going through any middleman. You're going directly through them. You can see them literally on live stream. They even have live stream videos where they're packing products into boxes and shipping them to you. It's the ultimate digital farmers market.
Yeah, and it's extraordinary how it's revolutionizing the farmer's income, because one is that the farmers, and see some examples here, may not have been growing the right crops. For example, growing maize for farm feed, when they actually could be growing much higher quality maize to put through the Alibaba supply chain to sell it directly to consumers at a much higher margin. or as Bryce said, to literally be live streaming from the fields. This is an example of kumquats growing deep in China, and the ability for the farmer to be live streaming, talking about the quality of his products, and being able to get a significantly higher price for those across China than he could have got locally at the local markets, or indeed selling to other distributors across China as well. So great technology, digitization of the supply chain, the enablement of 5G technology to radically change and improve the lives and incomes of rural China and their family. Well, I suppose finally, Bryce, it's been a little bit of an unwritten rule across pretty much all the discussions that we've had over the course of our 11/11 broadcast, that the metaverse needs to be spoken about. So let's talk a little bit about retail in the metaverse and what we are seeing first in China. Bryce, first a little bit of an overview.
Yeah, so I think that what we're seeing now is the ability for brands to create kind of interactive retail experiences, maybe not necessarily delivered through mobile devices, but places where you could actually enter into traditional retail store environments, experience some of the things that we previously showed you on the L'Oreal store, but totally online, where you could become educated, you could learn more about customized needs for yourself, and then again, go into a store and purchase products as you would a regular store.
And this year, Bryce, we've seen pretty much for the first time live streaming within the metaverse. So again, within that environment, not only could you wander around virtual stores, experience products, but you could also see live streamers talking about live streaming products and being able to buy them directly from the metaverse without having to leave the metaverse. This is an example we heard yesterday or the day before. The days are merging into one for me at the moment. From Beyond XR, they talked about the work that they've been doing with a number of Chinese brands. This is an example of their metaverse retail experience that has been launched before 11/11 is being used exclusively over the 11/11 period, with a number of Chinese retailers now being expanded across Asia. Again, if you missed that particular session, please watch that on demand. It's very enlightening in terms of the progress that's being made with digital metaverse retail and what the future brings for all of us in terms of how consumers will interact in a much more experiential, virtual way to create experiences that drive both the brand and also drive sales. Well, Bryce, that's quite a tour of retail China. It's not the same, is it, as experiencing it for yourself? It's the physical experience is still a lot better than this.
I think what we experienced was pretty darn close, David. I think a PowerPoint always can. It's like, yeah, we're just 1 or 2 points off of the real experience. No, of course not. Of course, it's very different from the real experience. But I mean, pretty close. Well, I hope that at least people got a great taste of what's out there. And I think the important thing, though, is to note that things are constantly evolving. And whilst we showed the best-in-case stores and experiences in China, there's still a lot of stores here that still have to catch up. There's a lot of empty shopping malls. There's stores that are literally devoid of people because they've really, like many other places in the world, have felt the pinch of e-commerce. I think what we've shown here is an opportunity for retailers who both sell traditionally and online to actually evolve into both worlds and be effective and by creating these kind of unique integrated experiences like we've shown today.
Well, Ian McGarrigle from the World Retail Congress on Monday talked about the amazing opportunity that lies ahead for retailers around the world. I think this highlights the direction of opportunity that the retailer around the world needs to travel on. I think we as retailers, and I'm an ex-retailer, so I'm complicit in the problem, so I'd like to be part of the solution now. I've spent far too long over the course of the last 10 years or so on back-end supply chain optimizations and not enough time on understanding the consumer more and engaging the consumer in really interesting experiences within retail, and the opportunity to do that with the interaction, the physical and the retail, I think is phenomenally exciting. And I think we as marketeers, as retailers, as brand owners, have a duty for all of us and for our customers to give our customers a really good reason to shop out as well as shopping in as well. Well, we very much hope that next year you can all join us on the WPP China Innovation Tour, where we'll be looking at the interaction between the physical and the virtual. Hopefully we can all physically go to some of the stores that we've shown you, plus a whole host more. But sadly we can't do that now, and hopefully we will announce the dates of those tours when things open up in China, which we hope will be soon. Well, Bryce, thank you very much indeed. It's been a pleasure to work with you on this. We will be hearing from Bryce tomorrow. Not just Bryce, but his students at New York University. A session not to be missed starts at around 10 a.m. UK time. We've talked a lot about Chinese consumers, and we talked a lot about the new Chinese consumer and young Chinese management who are being who are going to soon be taking over a lot of Chinese brands. So it's a good opportunity to hear from those students themselves to their reflections of 11/11. I think that's going to be very instructive for us all. But for the moment, Bryce, thank you very much indeed for joining us. We look forward to you joining us tomorrow live from China. 10 a.m. UK time, seems to be later in China, when 11/11 will almost be over for another year. Bryce Whitwam from the New York University, Shanghai. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks for having me, David, and look forward to our chat tomorrow.
Well, that's the end of this session. We will be back with our film time, where we'll be looking at one of China's brands that has now become a world player and is leading the world not just in technology, but also in the whole concept of what an ecosystem and an ecosystem brand needs to be for the future. We have talked a lot about ecosystems over the course of our broadcasting. And there is one Chinese brand that stands out amongst all others, and indeed stands out amongst all other brands right across the world, that is firmly positioning itself and changing its structure to be an ecosystem brand. And it is now the world's most valuable ecosystem brand, and that is Haier. So stay tuned in a while for that broadcast of a film of a higher purpose. Thank you very much indeed.